Welcome to Psychology 311, Study Session 5, Vision 1, Introduction, Eyeball, Refractory Media, and Disorders of the Eye. Introduction. As far back as the 1760s, the famous philosopher Immanuel Kant proposed that our knowledge of the outside world depends on our modes of perception. In order to define what is extrasensory, we need to define what is sensory. Traditionally, there are 5 senses: sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. The sense of vision, that is sight, is one of the 5 classical senses, which assume greater importance than any other sensory system. Each of the senses consists of specialized cells that have receptors for specific stimuli. These cells have links to the nervous system and thus to the brain. Sensing is done at primitive levels in the cells and integrated into sensations in the nervous system. Sight is probably the most developed sense in humans, followed closely by hearing. The highlights in this study include the eyeball, the eye as refractive media, errors of refraction, and accommodation. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to 1. Describe the anatomy of human eye, 2. Label the parts of the eye, indicating their functions, and 3. Explain the mechanism of refraction. Pre-test. 1. What is vision? 2. Identify the functional parts of the human eye. 3. Describe the physiology of human sight. The eye is the organ of vision, situated in the eye socket of the skull. It is almost spherical in shape and is about 2.5 centimeters in diameter. The adipose or fatty tissue occupies the space between the eyes and the orbital cavity. The delicate eye is protected from injury by the bony wall of the orbit and the surrounding fat. The eye has 3 layers: the outer layer, the middle layer, and the inner layer. The outer fibrous layer is made of sclera and the cornea. The middle vascular layer is made up of choroids, ciliary body, and iris. The inner nervous tissue is made up of retina. The structures inside the eyeball are the lens, aqueous fluid or humor, and vitreous fluid or humor. Cornea is convex in shape and transparent as glass. It is found in the front of the eye. The continuation of cornea seen in white color is called sclera. It is the outermost layer of the eye. It gives shape to the eyeball. The sclera or white of the eye forms the outermost layer of tissue of the posterior and lateral aspect of the eyeball and is continuous interiorly with the transparent cornea. It preserves the eyeball and also protects the delicate inner layers. The transparent cornea in front allows the passage of the light rays to focus on the retina. The intrinsic muscle attached to the sclera permits and limits movement of the eyeball within the orbit. The choroid is very rich in blood vessels, deep chocolate brown in color and lines in the posterior 5 to 6 of the inner surface of the eye. Melanin is the pigment which gives that coloration to the choroids. It absorbs excess light that enters the eye. Numerous capillaries are present in the choroids. They bring oxygen and nutrients required for the eye. When light enters the eye through the pupils, it stimulates the nerve ending in the retina and is then absorbed by the choroids. The ciliary body is the anterior continuation of the choroids. It consists of ciliary muscles and secretory epithelial cells and gives attachment to the suspensory ligaments. Contraction and relaxations of the ciliary muscle changes the thickness of the lens, refracts light rays entering the eye to focus them on the retina. The epithelial cells also secrete aqueous fluid into the anterior chamber of the eye. The iris is the visible colored part of the eye, which extends anteriorly from the ciliary body, lying behind the cornea in front of the lens. It is a circular body composed of pigment cells and 2 layers of smooth muscle fibers. It divides the anterior segment into anterior and posterior chambers, which contains aqueous fluid secreted by the ciliary body. At the center of the iris is the pupil. Parasympathetic stimulation constricts the pupil and sympathetic stimulation dilates it. The amount of pigment cells in the iris is genetically determined. This determines the color of the iris. The albinos have no pigment cells, and the people with blue eyes have fewer pigment cells than people with brown eyes. The lens is a highly elastic, circular biconvex body lying immediately behind the pupil. It consists of fibers enclosed within a capsule. It is suspended from the ciliary muscle by suspensory ligaments. The ciliary muscle through the suspensory ligaments controls its thickness. The lens bends, refracts light rays reflected by the objects in front of the eyes. The nearer the object to be viewed is, the thicker the lens becomes to allow focusing. The eye has a complex structure consisting of a transparent lens that focuses light on the retina. The retina is covered with 2 basic types of light-sensitive cells: the cells rods and cones. The cone cells are sensitive to color and are located in the part of the retina called the fovea, where the light is focused by the lens. The rod cells are not sensitive to color, but have greater sensitivity to light than the cone cells. These cells are located around the fovea and are responsible for peripheral vision and night vision. The eye is connected to the brain through the optic nerve. The point of this connection is called the blind spot because it is insensitive to light. The eye as a refractory media. As light rays enter the eye, the biconvex lens bends and focuses light rays on the retina. Before reaching the retina, light rays pass successively through the conjunctiva, cornea, aqueous fluid, lens, and vitreous body. To increase the refractory power, the ciliary muscle contracts, releasing its pull on the suspensory ligaments, and the anterior surface of the lens bulges forward, increasing its convexity. This focuses light rays on the retina. When the ciliary muscle relaxes, it slips backwards, increasing its pull on the suspensory ligaments, making the lens thinner. This focuses light rays from distant objects on the retina. Disorders of the eye. As we grow old, the elasticity of the lens decreases. This state is known as presbyopia. The transparency of the lens is lost. This is common in aged people and in some persons affected by diseases. This disorder is known as cataract. Myopia, short sight. The elongation of the eyeball results in myopia. The image of the object is formed in front of the retina. People having such errors are not able to see distant objects clearly. Hypermetropia, long sight. In this case, the eyeball shortens, leading to the formation of the image behind the retina. Such people cannot see near objects clearly, though they are able to see distant objects. Astigmatism. Like the shape of the eyes, any disorder in the curvature of the cornea or lens affect the vision. This results in the formation of incomplete and blurred images of the objects. This state is known as astigmatism. This disorder is rectified using suitable cylindrical lenses. Summary. In this lecture, we learned of the structure of the eye. We are meant to understand that the eye is much like a human camera. The lens focuses a visual image on the retina of the eye, which contains two kinds of sensory receptor cells, the rods and the cones. This transduces the light waves into neural messages. The two kinds of receptor cells perform their jobs somewhat differently. Cones work best in intense light, provide good visual acuity, and transducer information about color. We also learned of the disorders of the eye caused by changes in the elasticity of the lens. This is the end of study session 5. Thanks for listening.